What's up, creeps? I'm Exorcist.
And I'm Boo.
And we are Scurred. We're in a brand new year, and we have some things that we are excited about. In fact, we have 13 things that we're excited about, and 13 is like, our number. So it organically worked out.
Yeah, I think that's a good sign.
Okay. All right. So what we're looking at is 13 new horror movies that are coming out in 2023. And how excited we are about a couple of these is absolutely ridiculous. But we're going to do these in date, give you a little bit of an idea. And remember, these dates are subject to change. That happens all the time. They early release, they late release, they don't release till 2024. But these ones are all on track to be released from the depths of spooky in 2023. So let's start. This one's already out in theaters. Some people can watch it at home, depending on what services they have. But we're talking about Megan. So what's Megan all about?
Megan is like artificial intelligence. It's a doll that's programmed to be a child's best friend and a parent's like absolute savior. It was it was made up by a company, and she can watch and listen and learn, and she's a friend and a teacher. She protects you, and the child is forever bonded to her.
Creepy.
Yes.
I mean, this is like Child's Play 3.0.
Right. It's very much no.
Yeah.
No.
Anytime we walk the fine line with artificial intelligence, there's something to be said about it. And I don't know. It's like we're playing with fire, and we shouldn't be playing with fire when it comes down to artificial intelligence. So there it is. Number one on the list, coming out, already out. Megan, good luck. We'll be doing a review on that one awfully soon. Let's see. Number two, now it's not out until January 17th, but it looks really compelling. And anytime, again, there's somebody that's really old in a movie or really young, like them kids, Children of the Corn kind of thing, I find it a little bit freaky. So our number two movie on the list is There's Something Wrong with the Children.
So basically in this movie, a family takes a weekend trip. They want to go see some friends. They have a couple of young kids, but they are in the woods. And they're like, man, something's weird, something's going on. The kids disappear into the woods, and the family is like, whoa.
Yeah. Sounds like they come back, and, they're not the same kids.
Right.
Which is apparent, we notice these things. When you're a little off, I'm usually like, hey, what's wrong? But when you start trying to, like, stab me with knives and stuff, we got a whole new problem.
Right.
Yeah, right. So looking at a January 17th date for There's Something Wrong with the Children, number two on our list. As we get into number three, this one is kind of an interesting one because we've been seeing a lot of movies released from A24 Studios. Okay, we just saw Pearl. We saw the movie X. And just like those two movies, Mia Goth will star in Infinity Pool, as well as Alexander Skarsgård. And I told you the Skarsgård brothers in previous movies are like my favorite Skarsgårds. I only know two of them, but
they're your favorite.
I like them a lot. So jump into Infinity Pool. These movies are usually a little bit dark, so when you hear the description, try to picture A24 putting the twist on it.
Yeah, so you've got a couple there on a beach vacation in this made-up island, and then there's, boom, a fatal accident. There's really hurts the tourism. There's a bunch of violence. There's awful, just terrible things happening on this island where, we can assume nobody can really help them.
It should be paradise. And, when one thing goes wrong, it all goes wrong. Anything that can go wrong will go wrong. That's Murphy's Law, correct? Yes. Mia Goth is quickly becoming the queen of horror, in my opinion. She's been in a lot of great films. She's played many roles in those same films, and that takes a really talented actress.
Yeah.
and she's fun to watch. So anytime you put in one of the Skarsgård brothers as well, they are pretty fantastic. Okay, the next one I want to get into is A Knock at the Cabin, because A Knock at the Cabin, in my opinion, Infinity Pool, by the way, comes out January 27th. Knock at the Cabin is going to be the first February film that we have coming out. But we're pretty avid summertime campers. I mean, we don't camp in the winter because we would freeze to
40
death.
below.
Right. We live in a cold place. But in the summer, yeah, we pack up the camper, we go out, and, we brave the world out there. So anytime you have a setting where people are in the forest, it always gets me a little bit more. But then you bring in the director of this film, M. Night Shyamalan, and you don't know what you're going to get. I mean, you think back to some of his previous movies and you just go, this could actually be pretty scary. It also stars Dave Bautista, who's been one of the most popular actors in 2022. He's in like every movie that they make. And in 2023, it sounds like he's coming off with the same stuff. So give us a little bit. Knock at the Cabin coming out February 3rd. What do we think is going to happen here?
So basically the summary is a girl and her parents, they're out on a vacation, they're doing their thing, and they're taken hostage by strangers who are like, you have to make this choice in order to avert the apocalypse. So this is the fate of everything lies in your hands.
Which is weird because it puts you into that category of maybe these are totally normal people. And then all of a sudden they are forced, if you would, to go do something terrible. And that one's tough. So February 3rd for that one. We're going to give you a couple that don't have release dates at the end, but we'll go right into the next one. This is a franchise that has been around since I've been in high school. I mean, it's a long time out there, and it has, really changed, in my opinion, the way slasher films work. I mean, it was the gap between Freddy Krueger, Jason, and then this, and what I'm talking about is Scream. Scream 6, to be exact. I, in my dirty little omissions, have not seen Scream 5, so I got some catching up to do. I don't know where we stand, but we'll figure it out. But give us a little spoiler. It's going to come out on March 10th, and what can we expect with Scream 6?
So in Scream 6, you will see the survivors of the actual Ghostface killings leaving Woodsboro and going to New York City for a fresh start. So they're like, we're done, we're out of this place, we've survived, it's over, we're leaving.
Okay. So, much of the same. You can assume there's some mystery in it, the who done it part of it. We don't know if one of the characters is dead or alive or not. But what we do know is it's always an all-star cast. Jenna Ortega is quickly becoming one of my favorite young actresses. She's in a lot of movies, and she adds positive vibes wherever she is. And then Courtney Cox, of course, is like a staple in all of the Scream movies, so we can expect her to be there as well. And moving to the big time, moving to New York City. Scary.
Yeah, I don't know.
I might even scream. I don't know. Dad joke. The Pope's Exorcist. Now, this one is really, really important to me. And it is so because this is actually based off of a real person. I wish they would have picked about anyone else besides Russell Crowe. Russell Crowe, if you're watching, sorry. Don't sue me or anything or beat me up. But the thing is, the Pope's Exorcist, which we expect to be released in April, right around Easter, which I think is ironic, is really the real life story and portrayal of Father Gabriel Amorth. So he released basically a couple of things, but I mean, it was on Netflix for a while. I'm trying to think of the name, something about the devil, fighting the devil or facing the devil or or something along those lines.
Yeah,
It'll come to me.
Yes, I remember exactly what you're talking about.
And it really, I think that film, a documentary, if you would, brought exorcism to the forefront in culture. People are looking at this like, wow, this still happens, and this guy performed thousands of exorcisms. I mean, 100,000 exorcisms.
Right.
And exorcism, by the way, every time you do an exorcism, it's not necessarily like the one exorcism you see in the Exorcist movie. It's a series of exorcisms, and somebody could be exorcised hundreds of times before they're released. So, but Father Gabriel Amorth is absolutely one of my personal heroes. I think he's just the coolest dude. So to have the Pope's Exorcist come out in 2023, I'm excited about it. Give me an idea. Tell me what this looks like.
So Gabriel Amorth, he performed like hundreds of thousands of exorcisms in his lifetime. And he wrote a couple of memoirs, and this movie is basically going to be his memoirs put into a movie. It'll be his experiences battling Satan and demons and all of that evil.
Okay. So trust me when I tell you, this might not be traditionally what you call scary, but I have a feeling there's going to be some pretty scary parts, and I am very much looking forward to it. Man, what a cool concept. Like I said, Russell Crowe's hit or miss for me, but we'll see. Let's move on to the next one. We have the Evil Dead Rise. Now, I am excited about this. This is basically an extension onto the Evil Dead, and let's talk about it. Release date around April 16th. I've seen April 16th. I've seen April 21st. But mid-April, you can expect The Evil Dead Rise. So tell me about it.
So in The Evil Dead Rise, two estranged sisters are, meeting back up, and their reunion is cut short by demons that just...
They want to eat your face.
Right. And they go into a pretty heavy battle trying to survive, and they realize, like, wow, this is... it was a nightmare. It was awful.
Now, one thing about these movies, the Evil Dead movies, is the ability to have something that's actually pretty freaking scary mixed in with some humor. So there's always some funny quipped parts, like even the trailer poster, "Mommy loves you to death." I mean, come on.
That's pretty good.
Ridiculous. So the Evil Dead Rise, look for it somewhere between, how about we say, April 16th and April 21st. Really excited about it. It's probably so far on the list the one that I'm looking forward to the second most, right behind the Pope's Exorcist, which is not getting a lot of media play, by the way. Maybe eventually they'll get it figured out. And
hopefully.
know when to start pumping this up. The Evil Dead Rise, however, is getting a ton of media exposure. It's on every freaking ad I have, on every device I have. It's like somebody really wants me to watch this, which I will do for free. Because I'm just that kind of guy.
We're just those people.
All right, so we are going to continue on with the list. All right, so next on the list, we are looking at Insidious 5, which will come out just around my birthday. They say July 5th. Get 5 on the 5th. I mean, this makes total sense. So what I like about Insidious 5, and when you read the description, you'll tell them more, is it actually goes back to the first two Insidiouses and brings the story first full circle. 3 and 4 were more about Elise and some of the different things that happen in her life. They go back to her house. She helps another gal. But number 5 is going to be awesome, and here's why.
All right, so Josh Lambert, we all know him. We love him. He drops his son Dalton off at an Ivy League college. We've seen their struggle, both of them. But when Dalton gets to college, he realizes really quickly that this is going to become a nightmare for him, and all of these demons that were repressed come back and they haunt both Josh and Dalton.
Yeah, so here we are, and we're looking years later, which is kind of interesting because when they go into, what do they call it, the other side of the dark, or
Yeah.
what the nothing, whatever they call the space. Josh had to go back in there to help his son once they realized what was going on. So now here we are, years later. Dalton's off in college, and he starts to sink back into it. So this is something that they're cursed with. I mean, this really never goes away. They're able to suppress it to a point, but only so far. And obviously, Lisa's not making a comeback on this one.
Right. It almost makes me wonder, like, I don't know, these things have to have a way, like maybe they, are suppressed at home, but he can't help himself anywhere else, which is the hard part.
Creepy. And they do a great job of adding in some creepy stuff. When they do monsters or they do things in the nether realm, I don't know still what they call it.
Yeah.
But anyway, on the other side, it's not overdone. You have this creepy little monster or something, blah, 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 blah. It's actually just creepy. It's not like some special effects, way over the top stuff. It keeps it relatively real.
Yeah, I think I enjoy those movies a lot just because it's not overdone.
Okay, we all know as we go into it that the Conjuring universe, and maybe you don't know, and I'm about to spoil it for you, is coming to somewhat of an end. They will be wrapping up a couple of movies, and this one is next on the list. We should see it in September. And I actually really, 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 really liked the first one. So yes, this is a number 2. I remember it clear as day when we decided to watch it. We were sitting in our library, we put the projector on the wall, and you and I sat there and went, because there's something creepy about nuns.
Yeah, and also I fell asleep. So I don't have a lot to say about that movie because what I did see I didn't really like.
I, on the other hand, did like The Nun, and I am excited about The Nun II. So I am going to give you a little. So we know at the end of The Nun, what they did is they had, I don't know, what was his name? Frederick or something. Basically, whoever was helping Sister Irene at that time showed that, he was the one that stayed possessed. He ended up killing his wife. They tied that into the Conjuring film, the very first Conjuring film, when they're showing the video of the guy. That's actually, supposedly, that guy. So it's kind of cool. They did tie it together, and you have to see them all and pay attention to them all to understand that. But this one is a sequel to The Nun, a 2018 film. Sister Irene is back, and I hope that they will tap the same actress because the Farmiga sisters belong in the Conjuring series, if anyone does. Yep, Valak the Nun. That terrible, terrible, creepy nun in the corner with her face and the teeth coming back. So this somewhat is on the outside of the Conjuring universe, but it all pulls full circle because we know that Valak the Nun was the demon that would plague, what's her name? The Warren. Jeez, terrible idea to try to talk today. I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, Miss Warren, always being chased around by Valak and was in her house and the whole 9 yards. So that one we're expecting in September. Very excited about it. Now,
this one will be good.
We need to talk about this one, and we need to talk about it in depth because this is probably the most anticipated horror movie of 2023, if not my life. I'm putting a lot of weight in this one. So the original came out a decade and a year before I was even born, and it's been terrorizing people ever since. There's been a couple of spin-offs. They actually had sequels done in the 80s, and they were just garbage. Nobody would consider them a sequel because of how bad they're terrible. Just no good. So this one is actually a true sequel, and the film I'm talking about will be released October 13th, which is amazing. I mean, if you're going to release a horror movie, do it on October 13th. Yeah, you can do it on Halloween. That's cliche. October 13th is the day. So what am I talking about here?
The Exorcist, the sequel to The Exorcist. Mm-hmm. Okay, it has been
50 years.
A really long time.
50 years.
So, in the first one, which I would hope everybody has seen it, you know, we're looking at a little 12-year-old girl. She's possessed. We can't figure it out. Her mom tries to, you know, get some help, find priests to save her, and we're getting another one.
We are getting another one. Now, the interesting thing about this is, if you look back on the whole thing, it really kind of comes down to, when would you be able to do a sequel like this? They did a spin-off of The Exorcist on Fox, and I absolutely love it. Please bring it back. Everybody that ever sees this will agree with me. Season 1, Season 2 of Fox The Exorcist, brilliant. And it does follow the story of the girl, but much younger. This one really won't do that. This is going to older. The Exorcist was older. This one's going to stay young. And it's very cool. I mean, it's all the way around something that I'm looking forward to. I can't say enough about it. I mean, this is the anticipated movie of 2023 for me.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, I loved the first Exorcist, and if this one is anything like that one, it'll be great.
It shocked audiences 50 years ago. It still shocks them today. And having a rollover part 2 with the effects that we have. Now, you watch the old Exorcist 1973, and you're like, how the hell did they come up with all of this back in 1973? So 2023, absolutely going to be off the hook, and we are looking forward to it. Something fierce. Do expect that one out in October. So we'll be done with camping. We're going to have an Exorcist party. I just decided we're all going to eat pea soup and call it a day.
Good luck getting Mom there.
Yeah, Mom's not coming. I mean, she'll be here. Just hide from us. That's all. Okay, so after The Exorcist, we have a couple more to look forward to, and one of them is the highly anticipated Saw 10. I can't believe there's 10 Saw movies.
I can. They're like the greatest.
I can.
They're so good.
Okay. Here's the interesting thing. Without giving away too much, Tobin Bell, who is the main actor in Saw 10, he plays Jigsaw, is expected to return somehow, even though he's been dead for a long time. And that adds a big twist in a movie that's full of plot twists.
Correct. Yeah. And, you know, the director is choosing to see, like, he just is keeping it under wraps. He doesn't want anybody to know yet, which I think is kind of genius because it'll leave us all in suspense and then it'll make the movie even better.
I like it. So Saw 10, you know, I always see comments like on Facebook. I follow a bunch of horror pages and stuff, and they're like, what movie has the best kill ever? Like, if obviously these people have never watched Saw. It takes somebody really kind of unhinged up in here to come up with some of the ways that Jigsaw kills people in those movies.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, the mind games that go into it, like, you could tell that the person doing this was not well mentally.
And then the other side of it is, I always, in so many ways, and people hate it when I say this, but I'm like, you guys realize that Jigsaw's not necessarily a bad guy. He's more of a vigilante good guy.
Right. I feel like he's an anti-hero.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Like, you know, very much Deadpool. Like, I'm no hero, but also, like, I'm helping in my own way.
I like it. All right, so moving on, we've got two more. This one we're going to talk about briefly, and then we'll talk about the last one a little bit more in depth, but there's not a lot of details out, and these ones don't necessarily. Well, one of them has an expected release date, the other one does not. But Elevator Game, I think this one is pretty anticipated in my book. We've talked about the stupid thing before, at that hotel where you're pushing buttons in a certain order and then you open it up and
You're in a different realm.
you're in a different realm. So, Elevator Game is going to be released real close to Halloween. Give us a little snapshot of it.
So, everybody knows the Elevator Game. This movie is, based very much on that. It's a ritual conducted in an elevator. Players try to travel into another dimension. And I'm sure just it gets crazy. That Elevator Game has thrown quite a few people for a loop. So
very much so. And there's real online videos about the Elevator Game. There's,
right.
Anytime you incorporate real or things that happen into a horror movie, that, based on a true story
right.
kind of stuff, it makes it that much scarier. Right. So look for that one, October 27th, 2023. The last one we're going to put on our list, which will bring the total to 13 movies we're excited to see in 2023, is Salem's Lot. Now, you'll remember the original release date for this Stephen King book to film happened back in 1979. But it's due. I mean, it's due. And Stephen King right now, again, is hot. He hasn't been hot. I mean, he's always been hot. But right now, he's releasing stuff, and it's going to movies. You think
right.
about the It movie, the new It movie, and then the It movie number 2. The new It movie, highest grossing horror film of all time. I learned that from our Scurred Trivia app, now available on Android and Apple devices. Go to your app store.
That was a good plug.
I'm getting good at this. Okay, but Salem's Lot going to be released sometime in 2023. Give us a rundown of what Salem's Lot is, and if you haven't seen the original, now's the time to do it.
Well, Ben Mears is a writer who spent part of his childhood in Jerusalem's Lot, Maine, also known as Salem's Lot. He's returned after 25 years to write a book about the long-abandoned Marston house, where he had a really, really bad experience as a child. And he ends up discovering that some ancient evil has also come to town and is turning its residents into vampires. And he's like, I am going to stop this plague and I am going to save the town.
Yeah, so now you have this like undead town. There's vampires everywhere. Salem's Lot is very cool. The book was amazing. The 1979 film was actually pretty good. Rotten Tomatoes had it at 89%. IMDb at a 6.7 out of 10. Deserves higher than that. But the new one, I think we're going all the way to the top, man. I think that this, Stephen King has finally found out that, listen, if I do it right, the movies will be great. Just like, the first he did back on a television series was good, but the new movie was iconic.
Right. I think he's finally mastering this art and just, he's turning, masterpieces into something even better.
I like it. All right, so let's quickly wrap this up. We are going to go right down the list with movies that are coming out in 2023 that we're excited about. I'll read one, you read one. Megan.
January 6th.
There you go. Something Wrong with the Children.
January 17th.
Mm-hmm. Infinity Pool.
27th of January.
Knock at the Cabin.
February 3rd.
Scream 6.
March 10th.
The Pope's Exorcist.
April 5th.
And The Evil Dead Rise.
April 16th.
Insidious 5.
June 5th.
The Nun II.
The 8th of September.
The Exorcist.
October 13th.
How cool. Saw 10.
October 27th.
Elevator Game.
October 27th.
Very good. And Salem's Lot, to be determined. So there are the 13 movies we are jacked about watching in 2023. Anything to add?
Just keep an eye out for these movies. Let us know how you feel about them. Obviously, we'll watch them. It's going to be good. This will be a good year for horror movies.
I love it. And we have our list. You have our list. But be sure you like, subscribe, leave a comment, throw the thumbs up, call your mama, whatever else you need to do, go download the app. As we will be covering all of these movies in 2023, and you don't want to miss a single Scurred review. So, as always, I'm Exorcist.
And I'm Boo.
And until next time,
Sleep tight.